for entertainment purposes only. And if you want true legal advice, contact your own lawyer.
That the argument for the big argument for Democrats is you got this rich, powerful guy with millionaire or billionaire I'm talking about Trump, and they pound on that. Now Bloomberg's moving in with the same basic credentials, trying to, quote, buy his way in, and there's some real issues there. And he gets up on the Democratic platform and the stand during the debate, and Elizabeth Warren says what, Denise, to him?
Well, she questions him about his non-disclosure agreements with women and his verbal and maybe other types of abuse of women.
Allegations.
Allegations, but there were settlements involved, and there was non-disclosure agreements involved. Right. And she challenged him to say, let these women out of their non-disclosure agreements at their decision and let them talk about what happened. Well, and he said there's only 3 cases.
And describe what a non-disclosure is, Denise, before we get into this.
Well, a non-disclosure agreement's where you agree that you're not going to talk to anybody else about the facts in the matter that are being settled. And if somebody does talk about it publicly, then they can be sued. Right. Under the contract, because that's breach of contract.
Right.
And these non-disclosure agreements have been used by multiple people to try to keep bad conduct, whether it's corporate or individual bad conduct.
Even alleged, though. See, a lot of times it's settlement. When there's a settlement, they say, what, Denise? We're not saying we were at fault, but here's a non-disclosure agreement. And usually, Denise, that means they got to pay a little bit more, doesn't that? I mean, even though that's not what you do, but they've got to pay sometimes. Look,
yeah, but sometimes the alleged victim, doesn't want it to be disclosed either.
Exactly right.
So when you come to that kind of a meeting of the minds, that's mutual consent, and that requires mutual consent to get rid of that provision in the contract.
Go ahead, Cal.
We laymen always wonder, well, why would you pay hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars if you didn't do anything wrong? Sometimes it's to avoid the cost and the public embarrassment. But really, you've got to think, if Mr. Bloomberg has 3 of these, my layman's brain said there's something under the rug that when you sign this paper, it stays under the rug.
Which is wrong, Cal. You know why that's wrong?
Yeah.
I don't know why. You know why that's wrong? Because a lot of times people settle because of you're putting it in, and I'm a judge pro tem, so I'll get in the middle and try to settle cases for the courts because they're overworked. So what that is, Cal, is it's not worth the risk. Let's say you did X, someone claims you did X and Y, and there's about a 10% chance, Cal, of the jury finding you having done that and paying out big money. Maybe you say, look, I'll pay you 10 cents on the dollar, just to get rid of this thing, just so I don't have to go through it. That's what happens a lot of times, Cal.
I know the time I was sued as a news guy for something I was alleged to have said, we settled for literally pennies. And the reason was just to get something into federal court is $250,000 in legal fees.
Right.
And the insurance company said, we'll put up this small amount and we'll just give them that. They'll go away.
That's a cost of defense. A lot of times that is what happens is you would pay to the other side the cost of defense. Yeah. Better to pay them than to risk having to pay your attorneys more. That's kind of the idea behind that.
Right.
But, let's say you're running for public office and you don't want somebody to come out and say something about you. So you get in advance of it, right? And you pay for a non-disclosure agreement. And that's what you do. So Bloomberg had 3.
Yes.
That involved women. There were probably other ones for business related, but this was about alleged misconduct of Bloomberg.
I mean, he has money. He's going to be a target.
He's going to be a target.
He's going to be a target.
And apparently he used to be kind of callous in his jokes, saying jokes in the employment workplace. And he admitted that one of them involved him saying a joke that was, improper or whatever. Inappropriate.
Yeah. Once it was known that Michael Bloomberg was going to be in this debate, and they'd known for a couple weeks, then the news stories started coming out about conduct. One of the things was it's about a 35-page booklet called Quotes of Michael Bloomberg that was promulgated back in the 90s as a joke for something, but it starts out at the front saying every quote in here is true and accurate. I make no comments about this. And that's where a lot of these allegations and unsavory things attributed to Mr. Bloomberg came from. And I mean, rightly so, probably the candidates jumped on it and asked him about this. But the question I had about non-disclosure agreements. Now, in a case where somebody accuses Mr. Bloomberg of something, if the only evidence was that person's word against Bloomberg's word, and there was no other corroboration from any other witness who was told this or present or anything like that, to me, that doesn't seem like the type of case that would warrant that much of a settlement, because there's no corroboration, you've got nothing. Okay? Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't, but if the case had corroboration with other people, and Bloomberg entered into a non-disclosure agreement with the complaining/victim, I'm using air quotes, that non-disclosure agreement would not prohibit any of the other witnesses who saw it from talking, right?
That's right. That's what leads me to believe that they're kind of minor incidences, because he's already said to them, I will release them from the non-disclosure agreements at their choice.
And this makes me think that one of the chief considerations for a non-disclosure agreement is that Bloomberg doesn't want people knowing how much he paid to settle this suit, because he doesn't want to advertise, hey, if you want a quick $250,000, make up an allegation against me. It'll bring it, and I'll enter into an agreement, and now you're $250,000 richer, or whatever it is. A chief consideration is just, I don't want people thinking this is a meal ticket. It has nothing to do with the veracity of the allegations.
Right. And again, that's the hazard of being well-to-do in America. All of a sudden, the laser beam is on your bank account from anyone around you who thinks, what can I do to get my hands on that? Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where we are, and we're gonna. Last I read is he's saying that he's gonna probably release it.
No, he did. He came out and said he did.
Because at the debate he resisted it. They were saying, well, I don't know that I don't intend to, and he really resisted it. And I think it caught him off guard that they were going to.
It totally caught him off guard.
And so when he got back and talked with his advisors, it was like, look, you might not want this information to get out there, but if you want to be president, you're going to have to take this one on the chin.
And they're going to say, look at our sitting president. He hasn't exactly been calculating with things that come out of his mouth. So how much worse or less is it going to be than that? You have a standard already. You're probably going to be fine.
Right.
That would be my theory.
He actually, again, not to get political, he actually has, his argument is a smart argument. I mean, a good argument is he's like.
It's legally sound.
Well, not just that, but you know what his argument is politically is you guys can't beat Trump because he can argue economy, I can do it. I'm a businessman. I'm going to be able to do the same thing. That's his argument about why he should be the Democratic nominee. Kind of a good little twist.
I just wonder, when did Trump become a billionaire? Because it had to be during the time of his presidency.
No, he was a billionaire before.
Yeah,
he's had so many bankruptcies and stuff.
But he has not.
His
he had
business entities have had bankruptcies, but not him personally.
He's never declared a bankruptcy.
I don't believe he's a billionaire.
Okay,
I really don't.
We should probably look it up. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Well, we'll know when we get the tax returns, right?
He's got more than you and I, right?
However much it is,
absolutely.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Go to the website, radiolawtalk.com. That's radiolawtalk.com.